told you a little moment ago, we expected about 60 and we have about 125. So we are very, very pleased. At this point, I'm only here to say we're going to start and to introduce Joanne. Joanne is the president of Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement, and she is the driving force behind all of this. Her wonderful, wonderful passion for history keeps us all on track. And as you see in the pictures of the women on your table in the seat, women both past and present who have made our country and the world a little bit better for their actions and for what they have done. And I'm sure that all of you here will look at that and will think about the women that you know, the women who are always behind the scene and don't usually get congratulated or get the applause. And so I'd like a round of applause for all those women here today. Joanne is a dear friend, and we've been friends for a long, long time, since the early 90s, maybe 90 actually. And we do this together. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. However, we're still friends after all these years, which I think is why we're all here. We can disagree, but we all care for each other in the community. So I'd like to introduce the president of the Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement, Joanne Forrester.
And we know most of the time I'm right. I couldn't help that. Oh, it's so great to see all of you and to celebrate who we are and what we do. I'm just overwhelmed because we just expected half the numbers. So thank you for being here. Today we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement. For 10 years, our mission has been to educate, inspire, and share the stories of women in Pennsylvania. We have dedicated ourselves to uncovering the untold stories of the phenomenal women in our region and state. We have done this in several ways. One, conducting events such as today, where we recognize 10 women, spirit of the 19th Amendment. Two, and this is a hard one, operating positive social media campaigns about women and their contributions. And three, initiating special projects such as publishing the Women's Voices, Hear Them Speak calendar. What a lot of people don't realize is our state played a unique role in the struggle for voting in women's rights. On June 14th, or June 4th, I don't think any of you were here, 1919, the U.S. Senate approved the 19th Amendment and sent out for ratification to all the states. Pennsylvania ratified the 19th Amendment 20 days later. Yeah, so we were right up there. The struggle began, here's a little history, when Abigail Smith Adams wrote her famous letter, Remember the Ladies, to her husband on March 31st, 1776. Even I wasn't there. At that time, John Adams was a delegate at the Continental Congress with other 55 delegates who were struggling with the idea of breaking away from England. His return letter laughed at her and said no. Meanwhile, she was running the family farm, bringing in income, caring for the family and their workers, and corresponding. She was very much respected as an intellectual with many leaders of the revolution. But John thought her request was ridiculous. I wonder what it was like when he finally got back to the farm. Since the Declaration of Independence, the dream of determining one's destiny entered the fabric of our nation's soul. Many women and men were captured by the idea. They carried the torch of freedom and committed their lives to the ideals expressed in that document. Pennsylvania continued to be a focus of those ideals. In the 19th century, two women from Pennsylvania Lucretia Mott in Philadelphia and Jane Grey Swisshill in Pittsburgh dedicated their lives to women's rights and the abolition of slavery. They were threatened by vicious verbal attacks. Nothing, I mean, Facebook is mouth compared to what these women went through. They faced physical violence, not only to themselves, to their families, their children were threatened. And their businesses, they had businesses, were destroyed. Despite these threats, they courageously lived the ideals in that document and believed that they and all Americans deserved the rights. They persevered and won supporters for their cause. Today, the women who have been chosen for the Spirit of the 19th Amendment Awards and our 2023 calendar stars have shown the determination and commitment to those who made the passage of the 19th Amendment possible. Their achievements in athletics, the arts, business, medicine, nonprofits, law enforcement, media, science, journalism, and political leadership are outstanding. Their stories tell us what is possible when you let down the barriers and invite everyone in. The honorees, and I may mispronounce words, and that some of you know that I had a stroke, so if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. That part of my brain just doesn't work the way I want it to sometimes. The honorees for the 2022 Spirit of Achievement honorees are Viviana Borio, Viviana, I don't know her name. I'm going to ask you all to stand. Bethany Howland. Okay. Annette Ayer. Anna Marie Patricia Gator. Ola Jackson, where's my friend? Always looking great. Marilyn Moeller. Diane Carl. Arletta Williams. And our good friend Christine Williams. Ladies, stand and let's say thank you to the women. Oh, and I forgot, but I didn't because she's a really special friend. Molly Rush, who has the courage of a lioness. There you are. And Molly was featured in the 2020 Women's Voices Hear Them Speak calendar. Today we are experiencing another round of challenges to our rights by those who long to turn back the clock and reverse our freedoms. I invite you to not ignore the lessons of history and be motivated by the courage, commitment, and the willingness to face prejudice of those who went before us. They had, as difficult as it is, when I read their stories, I'm just amazed at what they faced. So I know you could face a lot more because your mothers, your sisters, your aunts, your fathers and brothers did so too. May our stories that we tell provide the inspiration to overcome the challenges today. Again, thank you for coming. We appreciate your support and look forward to many years of sharing her stories. And may this luncheon inspire you to remember and share them with your nieces, your daughters. Share it to the young people because they don't always know what we've done. And those lessons need to be remembered so they know what they can do. So thank you. And before we begin, well, you are eating, but let's take a moment for a silence for those who are not there those past and present that you care for. One moment, please. Thank you, and let's enjoy lunch with one another and share some great stories.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know that you're eating and that you'll continue eating, but we want to get on with the program so that we can get out of here in time, as we said we would. So, yes, continue with your meal. At this point, I'd like to take the time to acknowledge some people that we would like to acknowledge. One of them, of course, you probably met him. Where is he? Al Levine? Yes. There it is, Al back there. Al Levine is the person who brought his videographer, and he's filming for us BPTV. And so we thank you very much. And the award ceremony will be recorded, and we will be able to put it on our website, and so that you will be able to see it also. So thank you very much, Al. Also, Jill Coomer, where are you? Jill is a photographer per excellence, and Jill has been taking photographs, and she will be taking photographs of the women who, as they receive their awards this afternoon. I'd also like to introduce our board members for the Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement. Everybody knows Joanne Forrester is the president. I am the vice president, Bonnie DiCarlo. Norma Caquato is the secretary. And our board consists of Ruth Burt Smith. Ruth, there you are. Megan Grabowski, who has been flighting. Where are you, Megan? Oh, she's out. Megan is out at the table, making sure that everything stays in place. Caitlin McIntyre, Alice Paylor-Deas, DeCoyne McCarthy, Diane Richard, and Grace Robinson, who you know is Grace right here, and everybody knows Grace Robinson. I'd like to issue a kind of a special shout out, because she's such a dear friend of mine, to Joyce Rothermel, who brought all of the cheers for Molly Rush. So thank you very much, because you certainly helped. And I also want to tell Molly that Leanne Norman sent her greeting and was very sorry that she couldn't be here today, so we want to remember that. I'd also like to recognize the table sponsors, Alcasan, Viviana Borio, Norma Caquata, Bonnie DiCarlo, Joanne Forrester, Grace Robinson, all the friends of Molly Rush, Ruth Burt Smith, and Sylvia Wilson. Let's give everybody an applause for supporting that way. And then we have the honorary sponsors, Judy Bannon, Georgia Berner, Jill Coomer, Catherine Mott, Catherine Raphael, Brian Nept Esquire, and the Honorable DeWitt Walton, who is here with us today. Thank you very much. I also would like to talk and introduce you, I guess, to the living calendar stars that we have had in the past and this year. And some of those are with us. Marita Bryant is back there. Thank you. Molly Rush was one of our women in our first 2020 calendar. Judy Bannon is in our calendar for 2023, as is Ruth Burt Smith, who is in our calendar for 2023, as well as Catherine Mott, who is right here in front of me, Audrey Morell, Rosie Trump, Rosemary Trump, who is seated back there. Rosie, thank you very much. And Georgia Berner, who said she would be here, but I do not believe she was able to make it this afternoon. Did I miss anybody? I missed somebody at a breakfast one year, and the person got up. What's the phrase? What am I? Chopped liver, and he got so mad that he walked out. So I always say, please, if you don't stand, don't blame me. So I'm very happy to recognize all those people, and at this point, I would like to, what, Joanne? Oh, I'm supposed to tell you that those candies that are at your table are your dessert. And they're very easy to open. If you just take one of the little side and peel it off, then it peels off. Okay, I also would like now at this point to introduce Ruth Burt Smith, who is our MC this afternoon. Ruth Burt Smith is the former director of the Allegheny County Minority Women Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Department, located right here in Pittsburgh and in Allegheny County. She was there from 2004 until 2019. During a portion of those times, Ruth also hosted a radio show on WAMO and later at WBGN called Taking Care of Business. And Joanne and I were very pleased to be interviewed by Ruth on that Taking Care of Business. She was also the host and executive producer of a television show on OTA Broadcasting called Business to Go. Ruth served as chairwoman of the Governor's Advisory Commission on African American Affairs from 2004 to 2014 under the Rendell administration. However, Ruth was wise and retired. However, Ruth is not retired. Since 2019, Ruth Burt Smith has been the principal and the owner of Ruth Burt Smith Consultants, RBS. RBS is a management consulting firm specializing in diversity, communications, and business development. And besides all that, Ruth is a board member of the Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement and also a good friend. So at this point, I would like to introduce Ruth Burt Smith.
Now, one thing I have to say, I became a board member because Joanne Forrester and Bonnie DiCarlo refused to leave my office until I agreed to do that. So I'm a board member. At any rate, thank you so much for coming today. This has just been an outstanding turnout. We love to see people who recognize other people who are good people. And I have to recognize saying that my family, and I call them all my family because I have such a small family, we could have a reunion in 2 booths at Eaton Park. So my family, and it's these 4 here and this table are my family. And I love them dearly, and I'm so happy they could be with me today to celebrate this. And we have old friends. And I don't feel like I'm introducing people that I don't know because some of us have been together through, we're like old war horses. We've been together through many battles. So let me, in that vein, go on and I'm going to introduce our guest speaker. And let's see here. Sylvia Wilson, where do I start? Let's see, Bonnie gave me her cell phone. That is turned, it's not going the right way. There we go. Ms. Wilson is a retired Pittsburgh public school teacher who worked for 26 years at Spring Hill, Miller, and Manchester elementary schools. While teaching, she served on the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers Executive Board from 1977 through 2010. She was the elected secretary on the board from 1979 through 2010. She was later a full-time staff member of PFT as the assistant to the president for 14 years prior to her retirement in 2013. Sylvia has been active in the community with various organizations for more than 20 years. She was the active volunteer with community youth baseball and football. And Sylvia serves on the Alcoasand board as the joint city-county appointee. Now that's a feat, to get the county and the city to agree on anything. Sylvia is an active Democratic Party committee woman, ward chair, and DNC member representing Pennsylvania. She is my friend. When we attend events together, we huddle and chat and gossip and catch up. So at this time, I would like to present to some and to introduce to others, Sylvia Wilson.
All right, everyone. Hey, it's good to be here. I am the president, not the president, I'm currently the board chair of Al-Qassam. And I was asked to be the keynote speaker, and I was asked to tell, how did you get there? How did you get in that spot? And to be quite honest, if I don't like talking about myself. You know, if they had asked me to speak about anything else, that would have been real easy. But they asked me to speak about myself. This is not easy for me. And I'm going to take you back to a little bit. I have some input from some of my friends who told me things that I better mention, which I kept kind of to myself over the years. But I am going to, by the way, DeWitt, thank you for still being here, because you told me you were not staying. Call him out. And thanks all my family and friends that are here as well. And my Al-Qassam family, I know I saw you. I didn't speak, but I saw you all here today. I'm going to say that really, in light of what we are here celebrating today, it made me do a lot of reflecting. It made me think about myself as a child. I remember my grandmother letting me know that there were jobs for women other than the normal things. She thought that the best that I would be able to do was to maybe be a medical secretary, work in the dental office like some of my cousins did, because she said there was something better. She saw me as wanting more. My mother read to us, so I had a love for reading. I had a 4th grade teacher that I did not want to have. I dreaded having this woman. And she was probably one of the best teachers that I ever had. And she had a whole volume of biographies in her classroom that I read, every last one. Mostly all about white men in their young, youthful days. But I have to say, she must have been a feminist in those early days, because in that library, I read about Abigail Adams. I read about Clara Barton. I read about Mary Todd Lincoln, Susan B. Anthony, Sacagawea. And without knowing it, I read about these very strong women in times when things were very difficult, and didn't realize what kind of influence that had on me and in my life. I became a teacher, not something that I wanted to do again. I was encouraged to be a teacher, but I skipped a part. I have to go back. I have to let you all know that I come from a very large family. There were 5 girls, 5 boys. We didn't have a lot, and we lived in Ross Township. We were the only black family around for quite a few miles. I'm very clear about how people looked at me as a brown-skinned person. And so I knew that I had a lot of things that were in my life were limited. But I had the influence of so many others that encouraged me. I had a family friend who even in the 3rd grade had encouraged me to be a teacher. And again, I was never going to be a teacher, ever. And, but you know, it's just nice to know that people saw things in me. As a teenager, our parents moved us back. We were back in East Liberty. We left Ross Township, came to East Liberty. And not having a lot of strong, very close people as mentorship, I ended up being a teenage mom. And that's one of the secrets that I kind of kept as a secret, because even though I maintained what I wanted to do, which was to graduate from high school, I didn't see myself doing anything beyond high school other than graduating, and taking care of my child, who incidentally did pass from a congenital heart disorder and passed away at the age of 2. But I learned a lot from those years. I learned how difficult it is for those who don't have. I remember how difficult, knowing that she was ill, how hard it was to get health care for her. How very difficult. And you know, these are things you never ever forget. I was fortunate to have counselors that looked out for me and got me involved in the Upward Bound program, and that was in the very first year of Upward Bound. There was a pilot program before. And so I was able to get some college background and understanding, and went on to Carnegie Mellon, where I had a scholarship, because I never, ever would have been able to afford going on to college. That's why I never thought I would. I had people there who encouraged me to become a teacher again. I did that, joined my union even before my first day of working, because I knew how important from talking to others that a union was. And I maintained my I got very involved because I felt, hey, they're taking my money, I want to know what's going on. So I got very involved in my union, and I also spoke up. I spoke for teachers, I spoke for parents, I spoke for the children. I wanted to know what was going on, and I learned that through my union, by making sure that teachers and other employees in the district that we represented, if they were being treated fairly, then they would want to do their jobs in their classrooms and in their schools, and they were going to do for children and families what everybody deserved and what we should do. And so I continued in that vein. I got very involved, not only my local, but my state and national. I got involved with all the elections at the state and national level in our union internally, but then of course, politically as well. I couldn't help but be involved. And I know Brian Neff is running, he's here, he's talked to some of you, but I look at the Court of Common Pleas right now and look at how many people I've been involved in so many of their races, because I want to know what's going on, I want to see what's happening. People are making judgment on regular common folks, and I wanted to make sure that people who get in those spots are people who are going to represent and be fair. And that's so key and so important to be involved. So being very involved in my labor union and all that I did, when Dan Honorado became the county executive, he was determined to make sure that labor was represented on authorities and boards. And so they went and asked for someone to be on the Alcosan board. And they recommended me. And I want you to know, I've been on the Alcosan board since the year 2000. I have been there as a voice for people the whole time. You know, it's not an easy job. And what they do is absolutely wonderful, keeping our waters clean, making sure that we are free of germs and disease. I said, you know, someone, when we were all concerned about attacks with terrorists, I said all they had to do is take out that Alcosan plant. All of us would be in so much dire strait, we would be gone because it happens so quickly. And so the work that's done there is so important, and that's why I support them so much, and I talk about the work that they do, and it's so critical. But I also want you to be aware that I was the 4th black person to be on the Alcosan board since they started in the year 1950. The 4th. We now have a 5th on the board, but I am the 4th in all of those years. And when you look at the women, I was, I think, the 5th or the 6th woman who ever served on that board. So I am there as a voice for the people, for women, for people of color, and I am a voice. Even though some people try to shut me up, I am very clear about why I'm there and who I'm there to represent. And so, as quickly as I could, and I hope that I did a good job just now, I don't like talking about myself, but I hope that this gives you a better picture of who I am a little, but also why I'm on that Alcosan board and how I continue. And that's how I became the first female to be the chair. And right now they have term limits, so I'm now serving my 2nd term as the chairperson. So I'm grateful to be invited here today. I love all the work that's being done, what we have to do to continue to remember all of those that have done for us. I'm not standing on the shoulders of no one. I'm standing on the shoulders of many. And I'm just appreciative that I'm able to continue to do the work that I do. So thank you so much. Yeah, I was leaving.
I want to give you this box. It's made by a treasured friend, and I love what you have to say. God bless you.
Now, we all know that teaching in recent years has become somewhat of a profession that is talked about, but she was in the trenches back when people weren't paying teachers what they were entitled to and not doing the things they should have been doing for teachers. So once again, I'd like to have another round of applause for Sylvia. So now we're going to move into the Spirit of 19th Amendment Award ceremony. And let me just say this, the reason that we come together like this is because we all got tired. When I say we all, some of those women who we consider rabble-rousers came together and said, what happened to this woman? What happened to that woman? And if you don't tell your own story, nobody else will tell it. And they won't tell it accurately, and they won't put an emphasis on the things that have happened that are most important to us. So, that being said, I guess it's Joanne and Bonnie. You're going to come up and do the awards, and I'll do the thing you told me to do. Okay? At this point, I do what I'm told.
I'm enjoying this moment.
Not that I don't do what I'm told most of the time, but oh well. Our first awardee is Viviana Borio. After graduating from Seton Hill College and the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Business, Viviana Borio worked at Ford Motor Company for 30 years. She was the first woman to achieve an administrative senior role. Viviana served as the Washington Chief of Staff for Congressman Joseph Sestak, as interim president of Seton Hill University, and ran for Congress herself. She has received many awards for her alma maters and has served on many boards including Adelphi USA, Excella Health, and St. Vincent College. Viviana, if you could come forward.
Yes. I forgot to do it alphabetically.
Our next awardee, Bethany Hallam. Bethany couldn't be with us today, and Lauren Herber is going to accept for her, and I will read her bio. Bethany Hallam is a native Pittsburgher. She graduated from North Hills High School and Duquesne University. Bethany was elected to Allegheny County Council as a person at large. She is the youngest person to be elected countywide in Allegheny County. She is a vocal supporter of criminal legal reform and has overcome her substance abuse disorder and remains committed to a vision of a more just, equitable, and inclusive society. And we would ask now that Lauren come forward and accept on her behalf.
Lauren.
Our next awardee is Kanak Iyer. And Kanak came from a career as a neuroendocrinological, and I'm not saying this right. Let me try it again. a career in neuroendocrinology. All right. To mapping the human genome. Kanak went from health to wealth. She runs her own financial services practice, Kanatara Financial, her full name, which means shower of gold. Isn't that beautiful? Kanak uses her profession to connect people of similar values to help contribute to the common good. She is an AmeriCorps alumna and continues to work to improve cross-cultural understanding. And I saw her come in. I saw Kanak, there she is, and come forward, and she and I sat next to each other about 6 months ago at an African American Chamber breakfast. So I said, I know that name, and I'm so glad you could make it today. Kanak, how are you? We do. We need to have breakfast or lunch. Okay. Very cool. Okay, that's what I like. Girls that work the room. Okay. Our next awardee is a good friend. I haven't seen her. I don't know if she's here or not. Anna Marie Geyer.
Grace is accepting.
Oh, Grace is accepting on her behalf. Okay. Well, Grace is another friend. Grace Robinson sold me my first insurance policy for my first business 1,000 years ago, but nonetheless,
Now her daughter.
and now her daughter can sell it to me. But anyway, Anna Marie, I'll read her bio. Anna Marie has dedicated her life to being an advocate for women. She provided legal advocacy for sexual assault survivors and domestic violence victims. Anna Marie is also trained police, judges, medical personnel, and community leaders in Urbana, Illinois. Anna Marie founded Hot Flash Media to publish women. Oh my gosh. It's funny to me anytime I hear it too. To publish Women's Independent Press, which became the Women's Yellow Pages. Anna Marie also founded the Authors Zone in 2014, an Authors Award program, and initiated Women's History Scavenger Hunt in 2017. So Grace, if you could come and accept the award for Anna Marie.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, all right. And some of you are probably wondering, why did they do 10? Well, we've been in the business of recognizing women 10 years. So that's why we did 10 awards this year. Our next awardee is Ola Jackson. Is Ola here? Okay, my girl. Okay. 30 years ago, Ola started OWN, the Onyx Women's Network, a communications business which includes an online business magazine, a style and self-care blog for women over 40, and a YouTube channel. Ola graduated from Robert Morris University and was named one of the most influential women in Pennsylvania. She was honored with Talk Magazine's Woman of Distinction Award and was named Businesswoman of the Year by the Negro Business and Professional Women's Club. I present and introduce you to Ola Jackson. She's my dear friend.
Right there.
No ostrich hat today.
Right. I'll go to speech there.
it's lovely when people know each other. You recognize them, you know the work, their body of work, in most cases, that they've done under duress, because Pittsburgh is not an easy place to do business. I just want to say that, get that out there. Okay, so our next awardee is Marilyn Muller. Marilyn is a caregiver at heart. Marilyn completed her RN training at St. Francis Hospital and received her BS in nursing from St. Francis College. Following home care nursing, Marilyn spent 20 years as a psychiatric nurse coordinator at Allegheny East Mental Health, Mental Retardation. She was a Lamaze childbirth educator for 10 years, during which she co-founded Birthplace, the first out-of-hospital birth center in Pittsburgh. Marilyn provides loving medical care to her husband, children, grandchildren, and friends. And anybody who knows anything about nursing knows you have to have a special heart to do that work. So we present Marilyn. Okay, so we're getting down our list. Our next awardee is Diane Powell. Diane founded nonprofit Community and Family Builders and serves as executive director. She comes to the work of advancing equity and supporting women and families after having led a violence prevention network for 10 years. Diane holds a master's degree in public administration. She is a certified community educator with the Alzheimer's Association and a board member with Women for the Future Pittsburgh. Previously, she served as a trustee with the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. I'd like to introduce and present Diane Powell. So our next awardee, Molly Rush. Molly co-founded the Thomas Merton Center in Pittsburgh during the Vietnam War. Now that's a miracle sentence in itself. Molly is the face of peace and justice for many and is an anti-war, civil, and women's rights activist. Molly was one of the Plowshare 8 and was sentenced to jail for a symbolic act at a nuclear-powered missile site in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Molly is willing to talk to anyone about the need for justice and peace, and she has, from the chair of the board to the corporate CEO to the religious leaders in her community, what a leader for justice and peace. Molly, thank you. Young woman who is her award is going to be accepted by Sylvia Wilson, is my friend Arletta Scott Williams. Arletta is the first woman and the first African American to serve as executive director of the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority. She has led Alcosan in this role since 1998. Arletta leads Alcosan as a Green Workplace Challenge participant and a top scorer in the GWC competition. Her honors include Service to the People Award from the American Society of Civil Engineers Pittsburgh Division, the Racial Justice Award for Business and Professional Services from the Greater Pittsburgh YWCA. When Arletta used to sign off, Alcosan was one of my clients for a number of years. Women engineers were in such short supply and low respect that she used to sign her name A. Scott Williams. So they didn't know it was a woman, so they thought it was a man. So that's the kind of women that you're seeing today. And accepting for her will be Sylvia Wilson.
Also a Westinghouse Bulldog.
All right. You know,
Oh, okay.
I like the stadium, I'd rather see all of it.
Thank you.
And last but not least, my friend Christine Williams. And Christine served as a member of the City of Pittsburgh Police Department for 42 years as a homicide detective and then a detective. Upon her retirement, she was employed as a court security officer at the federal courthouse. Christine has been a faithful member of NOBLE, National Organization for Black Law Enforcement, and is currently the recording secretary for the Pittsburgh chapter. After many years as the treasurer of the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women, Chris serves as membership chair. And I must say, between her and I saw, where's my buddy? Marita, yeah. When I roll with these two, I feel safe. Okay. Let me just say that because I know they have your back. So Christine Williams. We have some high-powered, high-valued, lovely, intelligent, dynamic women in our state of Pennsylvania. And thanks to Joanne and Bonnie, we've been able to bring their stories to the forefront. I'm just going to read a quote from one of my favorite people, that is Maya Angelou. And she says, "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." So this is one of the reasons why we do what we do. And I'm going to turn this over to these ladies and they'll close you out. I appreciate being able to be your mistress of ceremonies for the day. I'm going to gather all my pieces of paper so they don't holler at me. But thank you so much for coming.
As our tradition, we like to thank our keynote speaker and especially our friend. This box and the stained glass gifts are made by the Glass Kaleidoscope, a woman-owned business, Marsha Weechick.
Yeah, a woman-owned business. So next time you need a gift,
Right there in Verona.
right in Verona, think about a woman-owned business. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We have Holly, come on up here.
It's a last minute thing.
It's a last minute thing.
Hi, I'm Holly Hicks Ackerman, and I just want to give a big round of applause to Joanne Forrester for doing this for so many years, So I found out that she uses Clinique, and I work at Macy's in the South Hills Village as a style crew member. So I went to James at Clinique and told him about Joanne, and he put this whole bag of Clinique items together for me. I love you.
And I'm not going to share.
We're going to thank you, everybody, for coming today, and we hope that you enjoyed the tributes to the women who definitely deserve the tributes, and the tributes to all of you that I'm sure you gave each other as you were sitting at your table and talking and sharing your stories. Just one announcement. Celebrate and Share is another organization that Joanne Forrester and I formed together, and every March we have a wonderful program during Women's History Month, and we have usually a panel member, diversified panel member of speakers who speak to the items of the day or their professions or whatever we decide they're going to talk about. So we hope that you will keep that in mind and look out on our webpage. I guess you can find the webpage through the Women's Hall of Achievement, right? Okay, it's www.pawommenshall.org. www.pawommenshall.org. And you'll find out that we do have a wonderful program coming up in March, and we hope to see you there. In the meantime, have a great rest of the summer, and have a great New Year if we don't cross paths before then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and for those who would like to purchase the 2023 calendar, we do have them there, and we appreciate your support. And by the way, say August 26th, that will be our Pennsylvania Women's Hall of Achievement. Next event. Uh-oh, Bonnie.